Chapter 9, Section 3 discusses the confidence interval for a population proportion, pi. The sample proportion is defined as p equals x over n, where x is the number of items or number of individuals, and divided by the total individuals. The confidence interval for a population proportion is equal to this. And this formula is the same as the one we had before. I wrote here down the confidence interval for the population mean is equal to the sample mean plus minus the margin of error. And the margin of error is z times sigma over the square root of n. That's from the previous section. And the confidence interval for the population proportion follows the same approach. Instead of x bar, we have p plus minus the same z, and then times the standard deviation of the proportion of the samples. And here, that's the standard deviation of all sample means. And notice it's also the square root of an expression. So the expression inside the square root is should be the variance. But this is a formula. And notice how it follows the same approach. The sample statistics plus minus a margin of error. For example, the union representing the bottle blowers of America, BBA, is considering a proposal to merge with the Teamster Union. According to BBA union bylaws, at least 3/4 of the union membership must approve any merger. A random sample of 2,000 current BBA members reveals 1,600 plan to vote for the merger proposal. What is the estimate of the population proportion? Develop a 95% confidence interval for the population proportion. Based on your decision on this sample information, can you conclude that the necessary proportion of BBA members favor the merger? And why? Well, we can calculate the sample proportion by just dividing the people who are intending to vote, 1,600, out of 2,000 total. So that's an 80% of 0.80. Now compute the 95% confidence interval and use the formula p plus minus z times the square root of p, 1 minus p over n. So replace p with 0.80, and then the value of z when the confidence interval is 95% is 196. And in some exercises, instead of 95% confidence interval, you hear or you read 5% significance level. That's another way of expressing 95% confidence interval. It's just 100 minus 95. And here times the square root of 0.80, 1 minus 0.80, divided by 2,000. If you make all these calculations, you get for the margin of error of 0.018. So it's 0.80 plus minus 0.018. And if you add this to this, then you get 0.818. If you subtract it, you get 0.782. The conclusion then is the merger proposal will likely pass because the interval estimate that we get includes values greater than 75% of the union membership. And that's the end of this section.